So what what we'll do is today we'll discuss the concept of function modules, right? So include programs, function modules, and subroutines. All of these comes under the modularization techniques. So T code for function modules is SE37. So we can display the existing standard function modules, and or we can create the custom function modules in the T code SE37.
Actually, your voice is a bit low.
Low, 1 second.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, it is my volume is high. Can you check your volume, please?
yeah. I checked. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Um, so today we'll discuss the concept of function modules. So T code for function modules is AC37, and we have hundreds and hundreds of standard function modules. We can go ahead and we can check them. And so let's go to the T code AC37. AC37 is the T code. So suppose if you want to find out all the sales orders related function modules, so you can simply give star sales stars, right, and you can select this drop down, and it will list all the standard sales orders, T codes that are related, standard function modules that are related to sales orders, right? So all of these are the sales orders. So like that, this is one way, and you can also go to Google and you can also search in Google. So all of these are the available sales orders that are related to standard function modules that are related to sales, right? So like that, whatever you want, you can search that. Or another best solution is to go to Google, and you can directly Google search in Google like standard function module for, and whatever is our requirement, we can give that requirement and it will come up with very good results. So that is another way of finding the standard function modules that will be suitable for our requirement, right? So if a standard function module is not available, then in that case we have to create a custom function module. So let's try to create a custom function module, and let us try to create a custom function module for finding the let's say biggest number out of the two given numbers. So let's try to create a custom function module, and our custom function module name is ZZ Big 3. So this is the name of the custom function module. Let's try to create it. So it's asking for a function group name. So our function group name is I think it is ZZ per base. So because we are trying to we are going to save our package in the Z per base package. So the function group that is there in that package is ZZ per base, right? And this is the FM for big number. So this is the function module for finding the big number, give some description and try to select the save button, right? So okay, this function group does not exist. Okay, so there is another function group YY per base. So I think, oh yeah. So it is saying this function module is not available till now, right? So if you go to the attributes tab of the function module, here you can see the basic information like this is the function group name, description for the function group, and this is the description of our function module. And you can also see some information like person responsible for creating this function module, last changed by, changed on, right? The package, this particular function module is saved. So you can see all of this information here. And import tab, we have to mention what are the inputs we want to give to this function module, right? So we want to give three numbers as the input. So n1 is our n1, it is of type I for integer, right? So n1 is our first number and it is of type I for integer, and this is our number one. So similarly, n2, it is of type I for integer, right? And this is our number two. And our third input parameter is n3 because we want to give three numbers as the input, and it is also of type I for integer, and this is our number three. So whatever the inputs we want to give to the function module, we can give that as the input here. You can mention that as the input here, and in the export parameter, whatever the output you want to, whatever wherever you want to collect the output, you can mention that field here, right? So you can mention that here. So I am giving this field name as big three. So this is my field name. So I want to collect my output in this field called big three, and it is of type I for integer, and we have to select this checkbox. The function module will pass the output in this parameter big three. So this is our big number, right? So so here in the input parameters, we will mention what are the inputs we are passing to the function module, and in the export, we will mention what is the parameter that is going to capture the final result or final output of the function module. And in the source code, we can write the logic, right? So if n1 is greater than n2 and n1 is greater than 3, if this condition satisfies, then big 3 equal to n1. So we are assigning the value of n1 to big 3, right? Else if n2 is greater than n1 and n2 is greater than n3, if this condition satisfies, then big 3 equal to n2. This is called as the nested if loops. Else big 3 equal to n3. So this kind of loop is called as the nested if loop. So you can go on giving else if like that. You can go on giving, and at the end you can give else condition. Right. So here we are simply trying to compare one number with the other two numbers, right? So here we are comparing the n1 with n2 and n3. So if this condition satisfies, we are assuming that our biggest number is n1. If this condition fails, control will come to the next else if condition. So here we are checking the n2 with n1 and n3. So if this condition fails, if this condition satisfies, then we are assigning our n2 to the biggest number, right? So if this condition also fail, then control will automatically come here, and we are assigning our n3 to our big 3, n3 as the biggest number, and we are closing our if with and if. So this is called as the nested if loop. So go ahead and try to activate our function module. And you can execute this function module. So you can give any three numbers as the input. So 700, 990, 675. So we are giving three numbers here, right? And when you try to execute, So these are the import parameters to the function module, and this is the export parameter. Big 3 is the export parameter, right? So now this function module can be used by n number of programs. Now this function module is as good as any standard function module, right? So anybody can use this custom function module. So let us see how we can use this custom function module in a program. So let's try to call this function module in a program. So let's create one executable program. So let's go to SE38. So I will name our program as YFM call, because we are going to call the function module in this program. So we will call the FM in this program, and under the attributes, under the type, try to select it as the executable program and try to save it. And we can mention the package name here and continue. So this is our executable program. So here, let me declare some 3 numbers here. Our X, it is of type I for integer, and Y, it is of type I for integer, and Z, it is also of type I for integer. So these are called as the multiple declarations. You can give comma, 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 and at the end you can give dot. And let us also declare another field called wiki, and it is also of type I for integer. So now in this program we want to basically find out the biggest of the 3 numbers given by the user. So we already have a function module developed for that purpose. So we can use that function module. So select the pattern button, give the name of the function module and continue. So it will give a template like this, right? So line number 20 and 21 are in commented state. So try to remove the comments. So you just try to remove the comments. So they will be now they become the executable statements. And here we are telling take X in place of N1, take Y in place of N2, and take Z in place of N3, and send the result in this field called wiki, right? So we are sending our own parameters. So suppose if you call this function module in your program, you can pass your own parameters. But the thing is, like, they should be of the same type. So N1 also is of the type integer type, and X also is of the type integer type. So they should be of the same type. As long as they are of the same type, we don't have any problem, right? So now when we try to display the output, the biggest number of the 3 given numbers is, and you can put some color, right? So now this is like a reusability concept. So you can use this custom function module n number of times in n number of programs, but by n number of users. So it is like a reusability concept, right? So let us try to activate our program and let's try to execute. So it's asking where we can give any 3 numbers, and it will try to capture the biggest number. So 67, 45, 200. So the biggest number of the 3 given numbers is 200. So now, what is the difference between include programs and function modules? Both of them comes under the modularization concept. when we include program, we are not doing any other separate declarations. Whatever the declarations we have in the include program, directly we can use them. But in case of function module, it is not like that. So we have to again define our own parameters, and we have to pass those our own parameters to the function module. And now this function module can be called by many other people or by many other programs. So this is like a reusability concept. Whoever want to have this kind of logic, they can simply go ahead and they can try to call this function module and they can use it, right? So this is the concept of function modules. Even when you are calling the standard program also, we can call the standard program and we simply have to define our own parameters and we have to pass our own parameters to the standard function module, right? So same thing with the custom function module. Yes, any concerns still here?
Sorry, I was in mute. Um, Actually, if you go to the function module, there are other parameters are there. Can you explain to me?
So
Actually, here import means input you are giving.
import means input
Yeah.
to the function module.
Oh, but when you are calling from the program, it is kind of different, no?
In the program, we have passed our own parameters, right? So we passed our own parameters. So we have declared our own parameters, and we are passing. We are take these parameters, right?
Yeah, I mean that naming is. I mean here exporting to the input import.
Export means sending. That means we are sending our parameters to
Okay.
function module, and
Okay.
importing.
Okay.
Importing means getting. We are getting this output from the function. Whatever the
Okay.
output the function module will give, that will be captured into this field. We are importing.
Okay.
Importing means getting.
Okay. And other parameter tabs are there. No? Can you
Yeah.
give one example for?
So for BAPI also, T code is SE37, right?
Okay.
And when we are working with BAPI, same T code SE37. So in BAPI also, in the import parameter, we give the inputs, right?
Okay.
And in the export parameter, it will collect the error messages in the export parameter in case of BAPI, right?
Okay.
But in case of function module, import parameters is same. That means whatever the inputs we pass to the function module, we will mention them in the import parameter, and whatever the output it gives, we capture it in the export parameter, right? But when we are using it for BAPIs, so in the import parameter, we will mention the input parameters, and in the export, it will capture the error messages, and in the tables, it will update the output in the tables tab. So same thing is used for function module as well as BAPI. So when we are working with BAPI, we will use these tab, tables tab.
Okay.
When we are working with
But
a normal function module, then we will use only
okay.
import tab, export tab, and source code.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. I understood. Like I mean, can you give one an example for the changing table exception? And if you go to that import parameter,
Huh.
if you can you click that import parameter and see the option pass is there, that I didn't understand. And if you go to the export parameter,
Huh. See,
if you go to that
suppose
export parameter, pass by value is there. So what it is actually?
if we give um, pass by value, right? So suppose if you want to make this field as a mandatory field, right? So that means the user has to compulsory give the inputs. Then you can select this pass by. That means then it will, suppose if you select number 1 and number 2 as compulsory parameters, right? So then in that case, you can select these checkboxes. So that means the user has to definitely give in mandatory values, mandatory inputs. So when you want to define that kind of thing, you can select this pass by check button, checkbox, pass by value checkbox, right? If you want to specifically mention like that. So in that case, you can select these. And here in the export, definitely we have to select this. Why? Because the output of the function module will be captured in this parameter, right? So in that case, you have to give this pass by value. You have to select this checkbox, right?
Okay.
So if you want to make it as optional, you can select. You can also see if you don't select anything, right? If you don't select anything, if you want to explicitly make it as optional, you can select these checkboxes. If you want to make them as mandatory, then you can select these, right? These checkboxes. But if you don't select anything, so automatically it will, if you give, it will take. If you don't give, depending on that, it will work out in the logic basically. So
Okay.
one main thing is, and again this exceptions also we use it in the BAPI. When we are working with BAPI, that time we will use in the exceptions, right? And in the changing also we will use when we are working in the BAPI. So, but say for BAPIs and function modules, same T code SC37, but only one difference is like when you are working with BAPI, when you are working with normal function module radio button will be selected. But when you are working with BAPI, you have to select the remote enabled function. So BAPI is automatically, when you display the BAPI, if you see in the attributes tab, remote enabled function module will be selected for BAPI
Okay.
automatically.
Okay.
By design, their
And
design is like that, right? So when you are working with normal function module, it will, this normal radio button, normal function module will be selected. And the main difference between function module and BAPI is function modules can be used from SAP to SAP only. They can be used from SAP to SAP only. But whereas BAPIs can be when we are working with BAPIs, T code is same. T code is same. SC37 only, right? But major difference is they can be used between SAP to SAP and SAP to non-SAP also. SAP to non-SAP also. So this is the major difference. But calling the function module is very, very similar to calling a BAPI, right? And creation also same T code. So when we are working with BAPIs, we will be referring to all the other tabs. Let me display one BAPI for you. You can take any BAPI, right? So this is a standard BAPI. So in the attributes, here if you observe, automatically the remote enabled function module is selected by default, right? Because BAPIs are called as, that is the reason BAPIs are also called as the remote enabled function modules. And in the import tab, you can, whatever the import parameters you want to pass to the BAPI, they will be mentioned in the import parameter. whatever the export parameter. In the export parameter, whatever the error message the BAPI will collect, that will be mentioned here in the export parameter, and it is referring to this associated type. Associated type is BAPI written, and if you go to the structure, here you can see the different kinds of messages, right? Type of the message and message numbers. So it will collect all these error messages, right, in the export parameter. And in the tables, if it is successful, whatever the successful information, it will collect all of that into this tab called status info under the tables. If the BAPI is successful, that information will be collected in the tables tab, right? If it has errors, that information will be collected in the export tab. And changings, changings I have to look for some example, because changings we will not use that much. Why? Because the main purpose is we give some input and we want to update something. So whatever we change, or whatever we whatever the result, right? So that we are collecting, we will always collect into these tables, right? So changing will not use that much. I will check for some example. I have to refer. I will check for some example and see, right? Because whatever the changing will do, that will be automatically be done here in our tables tab. So that is the reason we don't use this tab much. But I will try to check some example and see, right? So in general, when we are working with BAPI, we'll use import tab for sending the inputs to BAPI, export tab to collect the error messages, tables tab to collect the successful information, whatever the result the BAPI want to give, that will be collected into the tables tab. And uh, exceptions, see, they are not using exceptions here also, in the standard ones also. Why? Because why they are not explicitly using these exceptions is, whatever the exceptions, the errors, that will be captured here. So that is the reason maybe they didn't mention anything in the exceptions. But we'll try to check some more standard ones. And whatever the logic they want to give, all the logic will be here in the source code, right? So mainly we'll be using 4 tabs. When we are working with function modules, we'll be using 3 tabs: import, export, and source code. And when we are working with BAPI, we will use 4 tabs: import, export, tables, and source code, right? I will check if I can find something for changing and exceptions. So because generally practical purpose we don't require these tabs, that's why we won't use, but I will check and I will tell you, right? Let me display another standard BAPI. Here also, these are all of these are the importing parameters. Okay, here they are not capturing any error message. Okay, when this BAPI, so basically this is the sales delivery schedule create. So it will, this standard BAPI will create the sales delivery of the schedules. So all of these tables will be updated, and in the exceptions they don't have anything. Okay, right? So so we will discuss more about them when we discuss the BAPIs. Yeah. Any other
Yeah.
concepts?
In the attribute, there is some parameters are there. What that will do? I mean, update module, start immediately, immediate start, no start, start delayed,
Huh.
collect and run.
Huh. See, actually, um, our for our BAPIs, right? So for BAPIs, we always should select this one. So there is no other option for BAPI, right? And for normal function module, when we are working with normal function module, we will always have to select this. Generally, we will select this normal function module, right? So update function module, like suppose when we are trying to create some custom function module and we want to update some information specifically, right? So this also very rarely we will use. Why? Because whatever we are updating, we can take care of them in the normal function module only generally. So this update function module is like 0.00000 times we'll be using. Uh, I will try to get some example, right? So
Okay,
basically,
actually, the reason I asked it,
mm,
the collect and run in
mm,
IDOC also, there. I mean, we have exclusively we can keep start immediately and collect run. So what does will do?
see that
Um,
is IDOC concept is completely different from
Just
this
I was
concept.
thinking. I was thinking that related to that one or not. That is the reason I'm asking.
No. See,
And
IDOC's concept is completely different, and there, um, see, there, like you said, basically, whether you want to trigger the IDOC immediately or you want to trigger the IDOC at some later on at some point. So, um, so that in that way, we will be using when we are working with the IDOCs, right? So
okay.
here, update function module. See, in practical purpose, we don't use this update function module at all in the projects. But I will try to find some example and I will show
No,
this
no
to
issue. No issue. I'm just curiosity. I'm asking because IDAC, there is a functionality is there. IDAC very important function like functionality like whenever you use collect run,
you.
it will go to the status code 64.
Correct.
Then manually we have to push the data.
See, that and this is completely different.
Different, no? Okay.
See,
How
this
about that base XML support? Okay, fine, no problem. Base another checkbox. BAS XML supported.
let's see if we can find some standard update function modules. Mm, because we don't use that at all. Standard function modules, standard update function modules. If we can find, we'll see.
No issue. Whenever if you find tomorrow, also no problem. It's not today only.
Let's see. Okay, let us check with the standard update function. Because see, so many options will be there. SAP is like ocean, so we'll not be using all of them. So here they are using the okay update function module. What they are doing when you select, we will update, we will create update function module and name and address to. So modify, okay. Oh, okay. So
So they are simply trying to modify some custom table here. Okay. Mhm. Oh, okay, okay. Okay. So they have created this function module as, if you want, I can recreate the same thing. So basically, they are trying to create this function module as they have selected the third radio button here, right? Update. So update, they are simply trying to update this custom table, right? So modify, this is the custom table ZTB test, that is a custom table from IM test. So whatever the input they give, they are passing the input, and whatever the input they give, with that input, they are trying to update this custom function module, right? So they are checking the size of RC. Okay, that is the code of the update function module. And here in the program, they are assigning uh, some values to work area, right? To this structure, basically. This is nothing but our work area, right? So they are calling this function module, call function in update task. So you just have to add this when you are calling the update function module, you just have to add this, and you are trying to update passing this data. So whatever the rack, this is whatever the value we give here to the work area, it will update that table, right? So when commit work statement executed asynchronously. Okay, okay, okay. So if you want, I can explain the same example for you. Let me do it. See, here they are separately creating one update function module, and that update function module is basically updating one custom table, right? The same thing with 3 lines of code, we can write it in the program, right? So here the purpose is there. The purpose of this update function module is to update something. It can be a custom table or a standard table, right? So the same functionality we can achieve that with 5 to 6 lines of ABAP code. Maybe that is the reason we don't use this update function modules. But let me create one update function module for you.
I will show you. So let us name this as Z update FM. This is the name of our function module. So let's try to create this update function module, and this is our function group name, and this is our FM2 update, right? FM2 update, and save it. So we will try to we'll try to create one table. We have to create one custom table. Okay, we'll try to create one custom table. And we'll try to I think we are already having some custom tables, right? I think we can update them only. I think we are already having this. So we'll try to update this table. We will try to update this table only. Let me do one thing.
So I'm just trying to delete all the records from this table, right? So now this table is empty. There is a table, but it is empty. So let us try to update this table only. So let's try to, in the attributes tab, you can select update function module and start immediately. Okay, that is fine. So we want to update it. And then in the import parameter, we will define one structure. So ls custom. So this is our structure, and it is of type, and directly we can refer to the associated type as our table, zcust6. Associated type is zcust6, right? So this is our import or inputs. You can just simply give this is our input to the function module. And in the tables, they have updated the table. What did they write? Start immediately option. Okay. Okay. Okay, in the source code, they are simply trying to update the function module, right? Okay, so they are simply trying to update. Modify, our table name is zcust6. zcust6 from our importing parameter is lscust. Right. So we are trying to simply update this table. Reference parameters are not allowed in update task. Oh, here, okay, it is we have to take a reference only, type only. Okay, type, and it is not allowing. No. Okay, so because I think because this is a structure and we are referring our structure to this table, so it is expecting us to select this checkbox, pass value also in this case, right? So that means the user have to compulsory give the input, then only this function module can be executed. If they don't give the input, then it cannot update anything basically. So that is the reason it is expecting. Now our function module is in active state. Now we will try to call this function module in some program.
So let's try to create one program. Let us name our program as YY update. PRG. So this is a program, YY update program. We are using the update function module, update FM, update function module, and this is our executable program. And try to save it, right? Continue and continue. So here in the program, again they are declaring the work area. So they have declared the work area. So you can copy the same thing. Okay, we are declaring our LS data. It is of type ZCust6. It should refer to ZCust6 table. Start of selection, and we have to give our where is our table? Let us see the fields in our table. Okay, we are having Kunnar name 1, what is 01 land 1. Okay, so Kunnar, we have to assign them to this. Give some Kunnar. Okay, or 111, some Kunnar, right? Some name. Is it name or name 1? Okay, name also is there, another field. So name 1, you can give some name. Some name. And city. Oh, not city. What is 01? What is 01? Some city. Some city and a country key. Land 1. Land 1. Land 1. You can give some country key. So now let us try to call our function module. What is our function module? This is our function module, right? Z update FM. So we'll try to call this function module. So whenever we want to call the function module, you can give the function module name, right? And you just have to add this in update task keyword, and you want to pass your structure here to this function module, right? So let me just try to comment out. Right? So go ahead and try to activate our program. Now when we execute this program, this record will be updated into the table, right? So let us try to execute this program. So we have executed. Now let's check the table. Let us go to the table and let's check the table. See, this record got updated. See the same functionality. We can also directly write some code here by which we can update that table, right? So yeah, so that is the purpose of update function module, right?
Okay. Okay.
I think in our next programs, we'll be also be updating the tables. So then you can see how we can do that with the coding itself, the code, right?
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
With one line of code, we can update the custom table. So, but this is
Okay.
another way. So that is the purpose of, we can conclude that that is the purpose of the update function, to
Okay.
update something.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, tomorrow we'll start with the LTMC or the routine after that.
Subroutines. If you
Yeah.
have, yeah, if you have some time, we will discuss subroutines now. Uh,
Actually, I got a lot of workload today.
okay, okay,
I
okay.
mean, the new project,
Huh,
initially,
huh.